Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the JPDUB podcast. You motherfuckers missed us, and you know you did. Hey, it's been a few months, but we're back in 2022. So what the fuck you want to do? I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to bring on a very fucking special guest. He is one of the godfathers of slam fucking death metal. He is the guitarist / sometimes maybe he'll throw a vocal in the mix. The one, the only, Chris Pervelis of Internal Bleeding. Chris, how the fuck are you doing tonight, brother?
Pretty damn good. How are you, man? You're obviously excited to talk to me, which is ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah, dude, I'm doing great. I got the jacket on, man. The fucking
I know,
jacket.
that thing rules, dude.
Circa 2005.
Is that a born and bred to kill jacket?
You know it is, right on the back.
Hell yeah, man. Classic.
You know what's even cooler about this? I got two.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you should sell one on eBay.
There's a lot of shit I should sell. I'm like in my garage right now, and I'm looking at like all these fucking toys and shit I got, and I'm like,
oh, dude, me too. I have like 7 copies of Dying Fetus's first demo unopened.
Do you really?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have a talk after this show. I'll open my wallet to you.
so many demos and stuff from the early 90s bands that have blown up and stuff. Probably can get some serious coin for it, but ain't gonna happen.
No shit. Well, hey, yeah. Like I said, after we're done here, if you want to talk a little personal, I mean, you could have 6 copies,
Yeah.
6,
well,
the number of the beast.
I do need to fund some stuff for my car, so maybe you never know.
I like that. And I want to jump into that because we're all over the fucking place here because we like for people, fans, to get to know our guests a little better than what, is put out on social media and whatnot. You are a big fan of fucking classic automobile muscle, dude. Yep. So
big. Oh my God. Ridiculous.
Take us back to like some of like your history with like cars and like how all that shit began.
I could tell you exactly. It's you know what? It's so funny. It's just like how I knew I loved heavy metal. It's the same kind of thing. I had an experience. It was I was in I think 11th grade. I was cutting out of the lunch class and walking to McDonald's, which was behind the school, to go to lunch. I was with my buddy Glenn and a couple other people, and we were talking about cars. And I was kind of into cars, but not really. And then this fucking 1970 Plymouth GTX pulled up to the drive-through window, picked up his food. I was like, wow, that's a cool car. It sounds pretty cool. But then he pulled out in the middle of the street and he just stopped dead in the middle of the street, backed up traffic. And so this car has what's called an air grabber hood. So it has a little hatch where the hood opens up, the air scoop opens up automatically.
Yeah.
Fucking opened it up. The guy slammed on the gas. The car just went fucking sideways down the road in a roar that I never heard. And I was like, from that day on, I was hooked. And I was like, I got to get one of those. And not long after, I had saved up all my money. I bought my first Barracuda. And I've been a muscle car junkie since. I've restored a 68 Barracuda, which is in my garage now.
Damn.
Love it. It's fast as fuck. Eats gas like a motherfucker. And, it's just, I can't explain to you that anybody who's not been like, there's cars that are faster nowadays, of course, but anybody who's ever been like in a muscle car and had experienced what it's like when you fucking floor it, and that just pins you in the back seat, and there's no traction control. There's nothing. All there is just this fucking massive roar, and the car's just going sideways all over the place. You have manual brakes, manual steering, manual everything. You can't control the fucking car. And then you sit back and go like, man, people used to do this stuff all the time back in the 60s. This is what Detroit sold. They basically fucking sold people missiles with no seatbelts. And that was freedom, man. If you wanted that, you could buy it. You know what I'm saying? Now we're surrounded with airbags and this and that. And I mean, you don't have any chance to fly through a fucking windshield anymore. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, I'm not saying that should happen to people. What I'm saying is that feeling of freedom and just being able to let it all hang out there, so getting in one of those cars takes me back to a time where I wasn't even born. That was my parents' time, of drinking a beer while driving, smoking 8 cigarettes at the same time, and being completely free, and it's just and the history behind it, I get into it. I've interviewed the designer who designed my car. It was a big thrill for me to meet him. Yeah, it's just one of those things, it's a piece of history too. It's a piece of American history, and I'm a big American history fan. And I love the history of it all, everything, just the whole era. And it's an obsession of mine. When the music's done, I'll get more obsessed about it,
What, so as far as like a collection, you got anything now, or are you just rocking the CUDA?
I'm just rocking the CUDA, and I'm about to get a 71 Roadrunner.
Ooh, nice. Ooh. I like those Roadrunners.
Yeah, man. So that's next on the list. Unfortunately, it used to be a blue collar guy's hobby, but now that all these rich people have gotten involved in it, it's jacked the prices of everything through the roof, where, and I understand that's how the market is, but some of these guys, they don't even give a shit about the cars. They just like, oh, it's an investment, and I think they should be driven, because pretty soon, the way the world's going, there's not going to be internal combustion engines anymore and people driving internal combustion engine cars. So we might as well enjoy them now and let younger people experience history, instead of squirreling it away in some fucking garage like it's a piece of gold. It's just, that's not my thing. I bought my car. I spent a shitload of time and money restoring it, but I still take it out and I fucking beat the shit out of it because that's what Detroit wanted me to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing, So that,
got to respect the promise of a good time, brother.
Yeah, that's right, brother. Man, it's all about the good time. Every time I get in my fucking car is a good time. There's not a bad time. Except the winter when I have to sit in the garage and just sit in the car and just imagine that I'm driving it because the weather sucks.
Fuck Jay Leno. Wait, I think he actually does drive his shit.
He does. Jay Leno's the man, dude. Yeah. He's and you can I've met him at a couple of car shows. Like he puts no airs about him. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's super. I've watched some of his stuff on YouTube too. He's really knowledgeable about everything that he has. And this guy is amassed.
Oh man, if I had his money, I'd have that.
That's where you'd be, right?
Yeah, that's where I'd be. I'd fucking have the wife out of the house so I could make more room for car parts,
body parts.
Yeah. So,
where's your wife? I got a few carburetors. Yeah, but where's your wife?
Yeah.
I got a muffler. I got 7 mufflers.
I don't know. She's somewhere.
Yeah, never mind that smell coming from beneath the floorboards.
That's right. It's just formaldehyde.
Right. Dude, I seen, I don't know if you're familiar with the wrestler Goldberg. He's got a fucking pretty mean muscle.
He has a sick collection too. It's Hulk Hogan actually has a really sick Dodge Charger.
Nice. Oh, what year is it?
68 or 9. I saw a video of him. I saw a video of him the other day saying, here's how you pull into a driveway. And he's like, just all over the road. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, but Goldberg I know about because a lot of magazines I have, a lot of muscle car magazines always show off cars in his collection. He seems like a really cool guy too. He seems pretty down to earth, Yeah. I don't know him,
Fuck yeah. So jumping from the cars into something else, and this is what I've kind of noticed. Correct me if
speaking of wrestlers, I just want to mention I do like Steve Austin because I listen to his podcast when I'm in the car with Chris McCarthy, and he's funny as fuck.
He's another dude that's, man, if you were to sit and have a fucking weekend, if you're gonna have a weekend with that guy, you would have a damn good time.
He sounds like I said, when we're driving and I'm with McCarthy, him and I are usually in the front seat. Chris drives overnight and I keep him company, and it's wrestling podcasts the whole time. And every time the Austin one comes on, it's so fucking funny. He's cursing and he's telling people to drink more, and he's just great, man. It cracks me up.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Welcome back. He just came back over the weekend. But I kind of want, as you're sipping right there, brother, because I got to know too, what is your drink of choice? Because you seem like this, well, you know how it is being like death metal or grind or any of that subgenre of extreme music. You know, you're always like typecasted, or like people think you're mislabeled, maybe a better word, think you're some kind of fucking crazy person in real life or whatever. But you seem like a real classy motherfucker, dude, because I know you got a love of cigars. I always see you in pictures with a cigar in your hand, and a motherfucking looks like a glass of some fine ass bourbon. So what is your drink of choice?
I am a bourbon guy. Currently tonight, I'm drinking Knob Creek 12-year-old. So this is a step above the regular Knob Creek, which is decent. But this is, for the price, this is a very, very good bourbon. It's not my drink of choice. If I could afford my drink of choice, it would be the Pappy Van Winkle 20-year-old, but that's like, people are selling it for like $800-900 a bottle now. So fuck that. I bought 5 bottles on my wedding day 16 years ago, and it was only $99 a bottle.
Holy shit.
You know, and now it's 800. Same thing with the classic car market. You know, these rich Wall Street guys got into bourbon, and then they started hoarding bourbon. And now the price is through the roof for really high-end bourbons. But there's still a lot of good ones. There's still a lot of good cheap ones, not cheap, inexpensive ones out there, like the Knob Creek 12. Henry McKenna is very good bourbon for the price. Rebel Yell 10-year-old is excellent. You know, so there's still a lot of good bourbon for us regular folk, as Frank Zappa would say.
Yes. Fucking love Frank Zappa, dude.
Us regular folk who wear an occasional python boot, you know?
An occasional python boot.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck yeah, dude. I named my oldest boy his middle name Zappa after fucking Frank. Love the
Frank.
Dude. What damn, so I was gonna ask you, all right, hold that thought, because we're gonna skip to Frank here in a second. But as far as cigars go, I mean, is that the match made in heaven or what, dude? Like bourbon,
bourbon and a cigar is like, a bourbon and a cigar is like the greatest gift God has ever given mankind. So it's boobs? Just boobs are a good gift.
Titties and beer.
But the nice thing about cigars is when you're done with them, you get rid of them. You know?
Man, he's all about that. Find
it's
them
a little harder the other way around. You know, sorry, that was awful.
That's cool. This cigar is spending my money. I need to get rid of it. I won't like it.
I know, right? No, dude, that's all fucking good. That's all fine and dandy. What are you smoking on?
You know, currently my favorite is Diesel Unlimited Maduro.
Oh, Maduros.
Very nice cigar, very reasonably priced. You know, I got into cigars. I went to an orthodontics convention.
That's a good place to get started at cigars.
Right. Because, I know, right? With orthodontists. But so I went to an orthodontist convention because one of my clients makes braces. That's what they do. So they brought me down to Paradise Island for this convention. I learned so much about straightening teeth. I think I could probably do it. But I was hanging out with a bunch of orthodontists on the beach, and they were all smoking cigars. And one of the guys like, hey man, you want a cigar? You know, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I had one. I liked it. You know, I enjoyed it, and I was like, I got to do this more often. It's so relaxing. It's not like a cigarette. It's not like, God damn it, I got to have one. It's more like, fuck, you know what? This is a good time of day. The weather's right. Everything's right. It's a perfect time for a stogie, you know? And it's more of a vibe thing.
Especially when you cut them up and put that fucking sticky icky.
Yeah, McCarthy's always looking at my cigars. He's like, you know what I would do with that? I'm like, yeah, you're not.
Yeah, go get your white owl, motherfucker. Get the fuck out.
Get your fucking your glued together tobacco from your white owl. You know, I want my shit hand rolled. So
yes.
Yeah, so it's a good thing. And then I brought it back. So I brought it back to like the band. Like this is an iteration or two of the band ago, a while ago. And I got everybody at the time. So that was Keith DeVito, who was on vocals at the time.
Yeah.
Billy Tolley, the drummer, Jay Liff, the bass player, Brian Hobby, who was playing guitar at the time. After practice every day, we'd go in my backyard, pour some bourbon, light up stogies, and we had the IB Cigar Club. and we did that for a while until, Brian left, Bill died. I threw Keith out of the band, blah, 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 blah. But, it still goes. It still kind of goes because now me and Steve Worley, the vocalist, him and I have cigar and bourbon time together. So it's cool. It's a real good bonding. It's a bonding thing. And it's just, like I said, it's a great vibe thing,
I enjoy them, but dude, I smoke cigarettes and other things. So I always hit them like a fucking idiot, dude. I'm like, ride or die on this cigar.
do not inhale.
No.
Do not inhale, and you take your time with it.
I try, man. It's just, sometimes it's so hard.
No, it's hard. I know a lot of ex-cigarette smokers who fucking like immediately jump to cigars, and they're like, I'm like, dude, and they're like, oh, this tastes awful. I'm like, because you hit it every 2 seconds. It's turning into pure carbon. Stop. Slow down. Relax. Enjoy the ride.
Settle down, Beavis.
Fifth. Slow the fuck down.
Yeah. I watched there's this, I don't know who it is, but there's like this, he's got to be like one of the head dudes up in the cigar, like industry world, whatever you want to culture, whatever you want to call it. He's an older gentleman, and he had Michael Jordan on his show on YouTube. Ooh. And they're just sitting there, dude. And they're chopping it up, dude, literally and figuratively, and Jordan's just like, oh, thanks for this box. And he's like, yeah, no problem. They got like these ridiculously expensive fucking cigars. I don't know
Jordan's
what they are.
Jordan's a big cigar smoker. He's got a hell of a humidor.
Dude, man, it was so cool. And they're sitting in there. And I actually one time went with my shot to my buddy Big Ed. There's where we're at, Northwest Indiana. There's a couple of cigar places. I'd never been in one. I think it was before an event or something. We were doing a party or something. He took me in there. And it's like a bourbon bar and like cigars like up the fucking ass. And I was like,
made in heaven, man. Cigars and bourbon are just like
fucking jazz.
Godsend.
But I dig the culture, man. I really do. It's classy. It's chill, and it's there's a really rich history in like cigar and like bourbon like culture together, man. Dude.
Yeah, and it's cool because there's a lot of different there's like a lot of different groups like cigar like groups like what I mean by that is like there's guys in their 30s that are cigar smokers, there's guys in their 80s that are cigar smokers. Like, so I go to a smoke shop once or twice a week up the street from my house, and I hang out with one World War II veteran, a Vietnam veteran, a Korean War veteran, a couple of retired ex-cops. They're all in their like 70s, So to me, it's really cool because I listen to these guys talk and I learn a lot from them,
the stories too. And you're you're a history buff, man.
And then I hang out with younger guys sometimes that are in their 20s and 30s. And
they're talking about TikTok and all this fucking stupid.
Yeah, but I learn a lot from them too. So it spans a huge age group, which is great. And you don't like cigarettes. You don't bond over cigarettes.
Nah, you bum them.
No, you just get addicted and then you hate yourself for it.
Yeah, bum them.
I know. I smoked cigarettes years and years ago.
What'd you used to smoke?
Jarum cloves and
fancy lad. Want to buy a monkey?
Jarum cloves, Marlboros, and Camels.
There you go. I was on I call them crayons, the Camel Wide kick for like a year or two. And it was kicking my ass. And I went back to Marlboro
I was smoking
Red.
Camel non-filters for a while.
Woo, yeah.
Because my old boss at one of my old jobs, he's like, if you're gonna die, do it right.
Right. And also when all the tobacco falls out and it's in your mouth, then you got to dip. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right?
Right. Mr. Weber, I'll never forget him. He smoked more fucking Camels than I ever, like constantly, and his voice was like this, I love the guy. He was great. He caught me graffitiing in the back stock room. I was spray painting a giant picture of my Barracuda doing a smoke show. And you know that feeling when somebody's watching you and the hairs go up on. So I got that. I turn around and there he is with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And he's like, "No, what the fuck are you doing, Rembrandt?" I was like, "I guess I'm fired, huh?" And he's like, "No, just go back to work."
Heck of a man, dude. Heck of a man.
That's great.
That was one of the best jobs I ever had. I worked at this place called Pergament in high school, and it was like me and all my high school buddies. It was fucking pandemonium.
Oh, dude. I can only imagine. I've been at a few of those jobs, man.
Oh, it was so much fun throwing toilet paper at customers and shit like that.
Oh my God.
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God. It was a home improvement store. So it was just, I had so much fun. People asked me where the fertilizer was. I tell them, like, go outside, click your heels 3 times, turn around, come in and walk straight through the doors and the fertilizer will be there. You know, all kinds of fucked up shit I did back then.
Hell yeah. Dude, back in the day, I worked at Guitar Center with a bunch of, friends, homies that worked up there, and being a musician and being in the band. I mean, that at that time, like early 2000s, aughts, whatever they fucking call them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good time, man.
I bet.
Some fucked up shit too. Like the whole crew would get drunk and we'd like yell stupid shit like Fred Durst, Limp Bizkit shit over the loudspeaker.
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
Bring it on. To aisle 3 of this customer would like to check out.
Yeah, we used to do the same thing, but it was Jerky Boys stuff.
Yes, dude.
Yes.
But this was when the Jerky Boys were like on albums. It was when we were getting the cassettes and trading cassettes, because that's how they started, and my friend Kevin Logan came to work one day. He's like, you got to listen to this, blah, blah, blah. You put the tape in and we're listening to, the whole fucking
Hey, Sizzle Chest.
Frank Rizzo shit. And we were like, it's the funniest thing in the world. Next thing you know, it turned into a whole thing. And a side note about the Jerky Boys. So Johnny Brennan, the guy who does Frank Rizzo and all those things, when Billy died, we were all sitting in my backyard, fucking crying like babies, smoking cigars, getting drunk. Phone rings. I pick up the phone and I'm like, hello. And he's like, hey, Jerky, is this Chris from Internal Bleeding? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's me, Frank. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy? He's like, it's Frank Rizzo. It was Johnny Brennan.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Oh, man.
He spent 2 hours on the phone with us. I just put him on speaker in the little circle that we were in, and he went off, and he was the nicest guy in the world. He didn't have to call. He's like, I got an email from a buddy who said, your drummer died. He was a fireman. He's like, I love heavy metal. He's like, I don't know you guys, but I feel really bad. And, I just want to, he said, you guys were big fans of ours. And, oh man, that's
awesome.
Yeah. What a good guy. What a good guy. Yeah.
Okay, that's super cool. And dude, rest in power to fucking Billy Boy, man.
Exactly.
Hell of a dude, hell of a fucking drummer. Matter of fact, I don't know how. I came across, well, I know how, because I was, looking up shit for the show. I remember when it came out, but I saw like the CBS 2 covered the story. And they were out at your crib, like you said, you guys.
Oh God.
Yeah, dude. Hey, man. I've lost brothers too, man. That shit fucking hurts. You never get rid of it. You can only mask it, and move on.
I almost didn't want them to. All the news people were actually rather nice and weren't. They called like before. They didn't show up on my doorstep.
Good.
They said, "Is it all right if we come and interview you?" And I didn't want to do it at first. And then I said, "Well, I'm going to be an emotional mess, but this is a good way that people are going to get to know Billy. So I might as well just be an emotional mess." And let people see what kind of impact Billy had on people. So, I allowed them to interview me. That was one of the hardest days of my life. It was just awful.
I'm sure. I mean, you guys came up together. You guys started the band together, right? I mean, like
pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Take us back to that time. Like this is, you and fucking Bill back in the day, like.
Well, the band actually, believe it or not, I had another drummer. Like IB went through a million iterations before
they got to a million more.
Right. Before it got to official iterations.
Right.
I went through vocalists, guitarists, drummers, and bassists like crazy before we even got one song written, because I had a sound in my head, and I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but I said to myself, I know it when I met the right people, I knew I wanted to kind of fuse like hardcore, death metal, and hip hop all together. And I couldn't quite, the drummers I had didn't understand that I wanted to be groovier and shit like that. And they just couldn't pick it up. And then, so I went through a whole bunch of iterations. Then I met Billy at a show. What the hell is it? I got some strange noise coming out of my refrigerator. Anyway, so I met Billy, and him and I hit it off like right away. He got it. He wasn't he was a metal drummer, but he also loved like Liberty DeVito, who played for Billy Joel, big fan of Bill Ward and John Bonham.
Yeah.
So like right away, he understood the thing about groove.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And
groove is in the heart.
Him and I started clicking. And then we got Anthony Miola, who had the same exact vision as me and Bill. And then it became a band. Then we started writing material and everything was clicking, and firing on all cylinders. And it was all a pretty exciting time. We kind of knew we were doing something different. At the time it was, most bands were doing, mostly blast beats. And, listen, Suffocation had like their heavy breakdown riff and stuff like that.
Right. They're not slam,
all credit to them, but they didn't have the constant nonstop groove and hook, and even even the blast beats, if you listen to our demos, the blast beats, you can go like this too.
Yep.
We didn't want to play them so fast where you're like this, because that's not groovy. It's groovier when it's so everything was focused on being groovy. No parts. No, we didn't want parts that jumped like a fucking pinball all over the place. Like, we didn't want any of that crap. Everything just all the time. Your fucking head has to go up and down all the time. And then when the main riff drops, it just fucking hits you like a fucking truck. And that's what we wanted to do. And we were doing it, and people didn't get it. They sloughed us off as a fucking Suffocation clone or whatever, and they didn't fucking get it. And now look where it is.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it took so long for people to, and people like, it cracks me up, because we were the first band to use slam in death metal. It used the term, push the term, and now people are like, some young people are like, whatever. I name some band. They're like, oh, they invented slam. And it's like, dude, that was in 2000.
Like Dying Fetus or something. Like, I love Dying Fetus.
I'm like, we predate Dying Fetus. I mean, give me a break.
Exactly.
I mean, Dying Fetus cut their teeth on internal bleeding. I mean, it's just the way it is. We just never got, bad luck, bad labels, blah, 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 whatever. And, if our first album's production was better, things would have been different. But, it is what it is, and we still go out there. We still go out there. You know what? 30 years later, we still go out there, and I'll fucking put IB up against anybody. And it's hard to fucking, I'm not being an egotist either. It's fucking hard to play up against IB,
It is.
I'm glad we didn't have to
slam.
do it. I'm glad we didn't have to do it last year at Full Terror Assault. We got to see you guys there. Handsome Prick was there. We played, and I was super stoked to see you guys. And I got some footage. Everybody can check that out in the JPDUB vault. Dude, you guys, I was watching from like behind the stage, and then because I think you guys were on, was it before Misery Index played?
I think it was right after.
Something, it was after, because I remember
before or after.
I remember talking to Netherton behind stage, but anyway, moot fucking point. Dude, it was so cool. I would have loved to have been out in the fucking pit. Yeah, don't get me wrong, man. I know I'm almost fucking 40 years old at this point and a little bit broken, but I loved being able to experience you guys like from a different standpoint and a point of view, backstage, even like behind you guys and on the side. The sound was so good there. You heard everything clear, and just watching you guys go at it and rip through this shit. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking awesome. Like, because I think at that point,
I'm 53 fucking years old and I'm still doing this.
Right? Yeah, dude, you're going fucking hard. Hence the moniker Driven to Conquer,
That's right. Yeah.
Perseverance, man.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
let's take a step right back though into the, the old days when you guys are starting and shit and going, and death metal I don't think death metal really got like, it became like a more how would you say, it's hard to put this in the words, but like more, I don't want to say respected, but more acceptable medium of music until like maybe like the early like 2000s, something around there. Because when Relapse was pumping, those first few years was just pumping out all the great shit, dude. And then all of a sudden you have a cartoon on Adult Swim based on fucking death metal people. Exactly. All the magazines that were talking about new metal and shit. And I had always called it. I was like, it's a gradual progression of rock and roll, not just metal, because I mean it's all rock fucking music, It
is.
Every genre will have its time. And I know maybe a lot of people wouldn't believe that because death metal, you think of the content, what's the classic line that everybody who doesn't get it or understands, like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying. Well, I don't know what the fuck all these rappers are saying either,
Right.
It's all cunnilingus to me,
I get it. Yeah, man. I mean, but,
you guys were in a period where there were some big names, but like you guys played a lot of fucking shit back in the day, and and you guys were one of those bands that like the old school mentality, you had to do that shit back in the day because there's no social media, no sit on your ass and promote. You got your ass on the road and fucking drove, did the fucking shows, whatever you could.
Yeah.
But what were some of like the big bands back then, as far as like death metal in the underground? Even if you guys, I know back with Decrypt and Handsome Prick, we've been tossed together with some very unlikely, people sharing the card with us or the bill. What were some of the bands you guys were rocking with back in the day?
Well,
What's some of like your memories?
I mean, we played with a lot of great. We played with a slew of known bands back at the time. So I mean, we played with, Deicide, Morbid Angel, Suffocation, Cannibal Corpse. We played with all those bands.
But these were pivotal times, though, because you think of all those bands you just mentioned, right? Early 90s. Think of the albums that dropped from these bands.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And those shows were great, I mean, they were all great. And listen, all those albums, playing with Morbid Angel when they were doing Blessed Are the Sick, which is my favorite Morbid Angel album.
Yes.
I mean, it was a big thrill. I mean, that was, with a young band playing with Morbid Angel was a big thrill. Playing with Deicide was a big thrill. Glenn and I, when we were out on tour last summer, we were laughing about it because somebody had broken their neck at the show we played with Deicide back in 90, whatever. Glenn and I were talking about that, but it was a big thrill to play that show, even though we got sued for $10 million.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, kid broke his neck and his parents decided to sue everybody.
Hey, it's death metal, baby. We broke.
Right.
Well, that's basically, we settled out of court and it cost a pretty penny, but
I'm sure.
Whatever. My lawyer said either settle out of court or win and spend $300,000, $400,000 defending yourself.
Litigation. Right. Yeah. The joy of prolonging the inevitable.
Yeah. Right. So, so anyway, but the most fun I had was doing things like, we did a 5-day Canadian tour with Cryptopsy.
Yes.
Yeah. When nobody knew who Cryptopsy was,
or Worm, early Lord Worm.
Yeah. Early Worm, Steve Thibault. We had so much fucking fun. I had such a blast on that tour. It was great. I can remember driving from Montreal to Quebec for a show and having the van door open and just like hanging our legs out the door. And, it was just such a great time, or we played a million shows with Dying Fetus. We traded shows back. Us and Dying Fetus traded shows back and forth all the time. When I first hired Dying Fetus's demo, I was like, wow, another band gets it, So immediately all of us loved Dying Fetus. We're like, holy shit, there's another band that plays what we want to hear.
Is doing it right because dude, the slam genre, you guys have spawned a plethora of, and this is no offense to you guys, of shit
spawned a whole genre.
Yeah, no comment.
I'll say it so you don't have to.
So a lot of good times with Dying Fetus. One time we played Canada again. We played in the dead of the winter.
Ooh.
And we're driving home from, I think it was Quebec during a snowstorm. We fucking pull over because it was snowing so bad, and we all went to sleep. We woke up, the fucking snow was piled up over the van.
Oh man.
So much fucking fun. You know what? When you're in your early 20s, you're invincible. You don't give a shit. Now I'd be like, I'm fucking cold. Fuck this shit. God damn it, I want to go home. But when you're 20 something, you're like, give me another fucking cigarette. We'll figure it out.
Right. Wanting to beat up your buddy who booked this fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the memories I hold more dear than like playing with the bands that were bigger. Getting to play with Ripping Corpse a couple of times. To me, that was a big deal. Nice. I loved Ripping Corpse.
Well, what about like Broken Hope? You guys ever rock with them back in the day?
Yeah, we did a European tour with them in 2014, but we played with them in the early 90s with Malevolent Creation for a couple of shows. Yes. That was fucking awesome. That's how I got to be friends with Jeremy. So Mortal Decay. I fucking love those guys.
Oh yeah, man.
Got to play with them, 10 million times, Jesus, so many fucking bands, man. It's just,
speaking of so many bands, brother, I mean, what were you listening to metal wise? Like what is the evolution of fucking your musical taste that was like eventually fucking pulled you into the death metal realm, man?
I mean, it started with Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I think it always does. Should.
At the tender age of 4.
Yes. Tenderoni.
Yeah. In 1972, I can remember, like we were talking about muscle cars, I can remember the day I discovered Black Sabbath, playing in my fucking bedroom. I don't know what I was probably playing with Army Men or whatever, And I heard this sound coming out of my sister's room, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck. I was like, what the hell is that? Ran into her room. I was like, what is that? She's like, oh, it's Black Sabbath. I took the record from her, immediately, and brought it into my room, put it on my cheap little stereo where I was probably listening to like Mickey Mouse or David Cassidy or something like that.
Yes. That's Stratton's favorite.
This was the 70s. David Cassidy was a thing, and kids like David Cassidy. So, I admit it. I admit I like David Cassidy and Bobby Sherman and stuff like that when I was a little kid, but then I heard Black Sabbath and that was the end of that. It fucking ruined my life. And so I was in this, like Sabbath for a while, and then like, as I was trying to discover, new metal didn't do anything for me in the early 80s because it wasn't aggressive. It wasn't heavy.
Right.
I'm talking early 80s. I'm not talking later 80s. This is pre-Slayer,
Right. Like the pre-thrash thing. There you had what? You had like
so there was no good heavy metal really, except for Black Sabbath. And the closest thing to my ears to Black Sabbath was hardcore, like now this is old hardcore. This is not new hardcore.
80s.
New hardcore, hardcore. Everybody gets mad at me, but new hardcore is not hardcore. It's metal. Hardcore in the 80s sounded completely different than it does now. I mean, there's still some bands.
Dude, I just saw 7 Seconds fucking.
Right. 7 Seconds is awesome. I've seen them a million times.
Hell yeah.
So I got into hardcore big time in the early 80s, Black Flag, Suicidal Tendencies, Dead Kennedys, all that, all that stuff because it was aggressive, and it was powerful. And then Slayer came along. And see, now Metallica came along and I was like, they're okay.
Back then you were like, they're okay.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them at L'Amour's when there was like probably like 60 people there or something like that.
Wow.
Right when their first album came out or something like that. They were handing out albums. I remember that. I think it was L'Amour's too. And they were okay, but I didn't find them as aggressive as Black Flag, and then fucking Slayer came out and it was something that was aggressive and dark as fuck. So it had the aggression and then it had the darkness that Black Sabbath had.
And the other thing that Black Sabbath had, the riffs, dude.
The riffs,
to me, they are like their era's Black Sabbath as far as metal goes for me, because as far as memorable riffs in heavy metal, Black Sabbath is at the top of the mountain. Tony Iommi, fucking love him.
Yeah,
and then Slayer's right below him because some of the most evil, heavy, grooviest, fucking disgusting riffs came from those guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then I kind of backtracked and I got into I don't like Metallica's first album, but Ride the Lightning I love. I think it's a great album.
Yeah.
And that's Riff City too. That album is Riff City.
Yes, it is.
And when it first came out, I kind of blew it off because I didn't like their first album.
Right.
But I went back and after I got more into Slayer and stuff like that, I went back and I was like, wow, Ride the Lightning. This is a fucking good album. It's got speed, but it's also got atmosphere to it, which I think is a big, it's got a feeling to it, which I think is great, So then it was like, it was back to metal, and then from there, it's like, you go down the wormhole, you fucking discover Bathory, you discover Possessed, Executioner comes out with a demo, then Mantis comes out with a demo, then there's Death, and then Death comes along, and you just, right down the fucking rat hole, and you find your groove, and that's where my whole life was leading me. It just took a while, it took a while for the world to get there, and it did. And I went along with it,
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things where it's all, like I said, it's that progression. Like if you really are that passionate about the music, whether albeit a fan or a musician yourself, dude, you'll find your place with like these bands of any said genre. It's it just whether the technicality draws you in, the brutality or whatever it is, like, and I bounce around a lot, dude, from you're talking about guilty pleasures. I'll fucking rock Rick Astley right now. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you will. I'll rock Tears for Fears, dude.
Yeah, there you go.
I love Tears for Fears
too. I'm like you. Believe me, my bandmates hate me because I put on some shit when we're on tour, and they're like, "Oh God."
Well, real quick,
and they're like, "Is this the Monkees?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, it is."
No, hey, with the Monkees.
They have some good songs. Last Train to Clarksville is a fucking good song.
Dude, that's a banger. Gets stuck in my head still to this day. Random shit does.
They write a lot. They have a lot of good music. Is good music. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if it doesn't have to be in your genre to be good.
Exactly. And I want to touch on something you were talking about earlier. What's up with you and the Frank Zappa, man? How hard are you into the Zappa universe?
Pretty damn hard. And I blame it all on Guy Marché, who's
Suffo,
who was our guitarist on the Driven to Conquer album. He got me into Frank Zappa. And I fell in love with the first thing I fell in love with was the not necessarily the complexity. I guess you would call it the richness of the music with so much going on and fucking xylophones everywhere. And I love xylophones. Yes.
Ruth Underwood. National treasure.
Oh yeah. And how the xylophone could mimic the guitar and mimic the vocals and
sound so
stuff.
Like technical, dude. I got James from Origin hooked on Zappa, and that's like my greatest accomplishment ever. Like to this day,
it's so good. And then you step back and you listen to the lyrics, and they're fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But the musicality is like, it's just off the charts. It's just off the charts, and it's rich. It's not
not one dimensional at all, dude. At all.
And it's more to me than like you would think I'd like tech death metal, but I don't like it because it sounds like scale practice to me.
Yeah, it doesn't have that.
I'm not saying it is.
Right.
Saying it is. That's what it sounds like to me. But when I hear Zappa, I can hear the bass doing the counterpoint to the guitar and the xylophone doing the counterpoint to the drums, and I can hear all that going on in my head.
And it's still doing something for you emotionally, like
maybe so,
It didn't sound like, I get what you're saying, because there's a lot of that tech shit that sounds like guys are just like, I used to work with a dude.
1,000 sweeps.
Yeah, and like to be cool and just to do it, like, okay, that's fucking cool, I guess.
Be a janitor, right away.
Like, where's the emotion though? Like the atmosphere you're talking about building, like you got to have that. And there's very few of those bands that do that.
Unless you're like Origin.
There are some Origin.
Origin's insane.
Yeah, they put out a hell of a vibe. You know, right. Obscura does too.
Yeah,
Malignancy, dude.
They do a good job of it too.
Yep.
You know, but a lot of them lose focus of what
it becomes robotic, man.
Right, where they lose focus about what tech should be about, at least in my view, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want crazy tech, I'll listen to Chick Corea, you know.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. So, well, that's what I'm getting out with the Zappa shit, because I was able to drag a lot of dudes in to Zappa, like I brought up James from Origin, simply because I'm like, dude, listen to this, like really listen. I started hearing that shit and I was hooked on the Zappa. My dad was a huge Zappa fan and, just a young age. But once I really got to the age where I could appreciate and I'd start playing jazz guitar in high school band. So I'm listening to a lot of different shit that I was never cool to, but I was like, hey man, this kind of sounds like some Zappa shit, so I got educated real fucking quick on all the Chick Coreas, Miles Davis, all that shit.
That period in the 70s and the early 80s of jazz fusion is like, it is fucking
Al Di Meola, dude.
Yep.
Come on.
Ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Al Di Meola doesn't do any sweep picking. He picks every fucking note. And it's articulate and fat and is string skipping and like it's awe-inspiring to watch. And it's not, the background music that's going on isn't just some kind of straightforward chugging pedal kind of riff that like a lot of shredder soloists do. They have this bad background music with like a kind of a basic pedal riff so that you can show off your guitar skills. Yeah. The background is going crazy, and the chord changes are going on and he's keeping up with the chord changes, and the chord changes themselves. If you ever watch a guitarist do it, your fingers hurt just by looking at what they're doing. It's like, it's mind blowing to me.
Oh, dude. And
I'm sure there's a bunch of 15-year-olds who can do that. And
Django Reinhardt.
I was blown away by them doing it. It's just, but it's the arrangements. It's more than just the It's more than just the blinding speed and technicality. It's the arrangements. It's the mood that gives you. You listen to Al Di Meola. 1 minute you're in Spain, the next minute you're in the Middle East. He takes you all over the world with his music, and it's just it's like getting on an airplane and going to a different world. You know, and it's mind blowing.
And I think, like I was saying, I think for a lot of us metal guys, especially death metal guys, I mean, whether it's slam or not, let's be honest. I mean, dude, death metal is pretty much like some of the most technical metal you can play, no matter what genre.
Absolutely.
So like I said, that's how I was able to rope people in the Zappa, because I'm like, listen to this song, listen to this xylophone. Imagine if that was fucking someone just pumping that shit out on the guitar and you hear the fucking blast behind it. And I'm like, that's how like technical and like how good this shit is. Like, dude, it's just, but then there's a million other instruments behind it. And this guy wrote all in fucking musical notes.
I know.
Not tablature, you fucking weenies.
I know.
What's musical notes?
Mind blowing. Just mind blowing.
Mind blowing, dude. Speaking of mind blowing, real quick, for everybody that wasn't able to kick it with us on the pre-show fucking fight, we were talking about some shit. I forgot what we were talking about. Maybe the rules and regulations of this show, which there's very none, if any.
Things.
I like to spot off random shit. Why? Because that's the way my mind works. I have Tourette's. I'm also fucking crazy. It just happens like that. But I threw out the name of Manute Bol.
Yes, you did.
Former NBA superstar who was like
really a superstar, or was he just
an animal?
7?
He had a 7-foot dick, probably easily. I mean, he's taller than Andre, man. He had to have a huge.
He did hit 9 threes in a game before.
That's a huge dick.
I did go to college. I did go to college with him at the University of Bridgeport for 2 years. I went to a couple of parties with him.
Holy shit!
Nice.
You just like show up and you want to be next to Manute Bol because you're like, I'm the baddest man. Who's gonna fuck with me now?
The school we went to was pretty. The University of Bridgeport was a pretty small school, So when there was a party, like the whole school went to the party, and one party, I think it was in their dorm room. It was called Barnum Hall, named after P.T. Barnum.
I was going to say a lot of Barnum and Bailey going on.
Yeah. Well, P.T. Barnum owned part of where University of Bridgeport was. So there was a lot of Barnum stuff, and the school was like a clown school anyway. So
you went to clown school?
Yeah.
Clown college. Get it right.
Actually, for what I studied, it was a school that was pretty ahead of its time and had one of the first Mac design studios on the East Coast. So that's one of the reasons why I went. Anyway, so I went to a couple of parties with him, and he seemed like a cool guy. I remember that they had to weld 2 beds together lengthwise for him. I remember that. I remember seeing his bedroom, and it was 2 beds, and that the end of the bed was like cut off and welded to the beginning of another bed, and 2 mattresses. So it was long enough to fit him.
That's just insane.
That's great.
I don't know how my school. Our school was like a Division II basketball school. It wasn't even like a Division I. I don't know how they managed to wrangle Manute Bol, but like they just throw the ball to him and it'd be like,
you have to jump the dunk. He would just
turn it down and put it down in the basket.
Probably if he jumped, he'd break his knees. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Like there was always that. Well, I mean, he actually did. Like in the NBA, if you watch a lot of those old school games, he would like trip over himself. His fucking legs are so damn long. His legs were 6 foot tall.
How could you not be? I mean. So yeah, that was pretty interesting that I went to school with him. So
oh yeah,
that's awesome.
And while we're on the sports kick, real quick, you're a fucking New York, you're an East Coast guy, man. What's some of the sports you're into? You guys, and I ask that because, I got some of your guys' merch and shit, obviously flossing that shit, but I also got the koozie, and I've seen you guys got the Raiders kind of vibe going on. What's up with that, man?
Well, I'm a Raiders fan. I have been since since they won the first Super Bowl I ever watched on TV was the 76 Super Bowl when the Raiders trounced the Vikings.
Fuck yeah. I'm a huge Lyle Alzado fan. So.
Not only did they trounce the Vikings, they beat the living shit out of them. And every time a Viking was on the ground, they'd kick him in the face or spit at him.
Yep.
And,
football.
So that's how I became a Raiders fan, and I have been since, and I've suffered a long time. I follow them now, but not like I used to because the sport sucks now. It's not violent. There's no
not the 85 Bears anymore.
Right. There's no room for outsized personalities. There's no room for like a Dick Butkus anymore, or there's no room for a Lyle Alzado anymore.
Ooh, no.
No room for hitting,
dude.
3 mile.
No room for tackling anymore.
I mean, there's no room for those personalities anymore. And quarterbacks are like, they might as well throw pillows around them.
Exactly.
And same with wide receivers. When I watched football in the 70s, if somebody went across the middle, they were either going to the hospital or the morgue.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Totally. And you know what? I think a lot of the players actually want to play like that. Because I've seen some interviews where you could see a player's pissed off that they can't play the way they want to play football, but and I understand, everybody's worth millions of dollars now, blah, 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 but the sport's just too sanitized and it's just fucking boring. Teams don't even have personalities anymore.
No, it's very hard. You get a George Kittle who tries. That's only because he's got that pro wrestling connection. He was on like the WrestleMania talk shit.
The Raiders don't have a personality anymore. The Bears used to have a personality. Yeah. They don't have a fucking personality. Green Bay used to have a personality. Nobody's got a personality. They all run the same fucking offensive scheme.
Everybody passes.
Right.
Constantly.
There's no variation. The Browns used to be a running team, and the Raiders were a running team who'd either run or throw a bomb. Now even all the coaching philosophies are the same. Everything's the same. The only thing that's different is the uniforms.
Yep. What about basketball, baseball? What do you fuck with?
I don't watch basketball. I was never into basketball. Baseball, I used to be a big Yankees fan, but I don't really watch baseball anymore. Hockey, I like because at least there's blood.
There's still some purity to that.
Right. There's still some violence in there, but sports doesn't. I've got a lot of other things that distract me.
Exactly.
I'd rather read a history, a philosophy, or a political book than I would rather watch sports.
Well, yeah, and you guys, I mean, a lot of your stuff you're speaking is very history and political like themed. Throughout. I've seen a lot of your guys, especially like the early music and stuff. I mean, and you guys got some re-releases coming out, which we're going to get to here in a second. Is that mainly? I mean, I guess obviously from you, like in your just with the history. I mean, it's pretty much my band.
I write 90% of the lyrics. So yeah, anything that's remotely historical is definitely from me. Political stuff ranges. Some people write. Some of the other guys pitch in on stuff that's political. We try not to be like overtly political, or we try not to let people know where we're coming from.
Yeah.
We don't want.
You're not Rage Against the Machine, No,
well, we're definitely not a bunch of fucking commies. I'll tell you that. But we're not raving right wingers either.
Right.
God, I hate Rage Against the Machine. Fuck them.
Yeah, I do too. I fucking hate them.
God. Tom Morello, for somebody who goes to fucking Harvard, is the dumbest motherfucker in the world. Doesn't know the fucking first thing about economics. He wouldn't know supply and demand if it hit him in the fucking mouth. I mean, he's such a fucking moron. Either that or he's playing everybody to make more money, which I think he's doing.
That's what I think. I mean, you can't play guitar like that and be as creative as the dude is. And yeah, he's definitely playing some shit for the masses.
Fuck him. I love that. They do a song, "Fuck You, I Won't Do What You Tell Me," but they're telling everybody to say that. So it's like, okay.
Nah.
Yeah, right. Message not received.
Shut the fuck
Chris.
up. Get the fuck out. Jesus Christ.
Come on, man.
System of the Down too. God, go away.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on them assholes.
Good.
I hate.
Great band music. I just find Serge very. Not only does he look like me, but his voice is too whiny for me.
He did cover "Don't Eat the Yellow Snow" though.
Yes, he did. The band is fantastic. Musically, the band is like fucking ridiculously.
Yeah, they're so good.
They're
like the Beatles of fucking new metal or metal, whatever you want to call them. Just because it's so many songs, they're all like 2 minutes. Like I seen them way back. Like, I don't know if it was 02 or 04 or something. And they played like 30 songs, and it was only like an hour and a half, if that. Like holy fuck, dude.
Like
and
a
they got some cool shit.
Yeah. Right. Show 80 songs in 6 minutes.
Exactly. An album. Pack it and ship it.
Yeah, right.
All right, Chris, thank you. Good night. We've only been playing 20 minutes. We did our whole 7-album catalog.
We get a half hour to play. Can we dumb it down to 10 minutes? We'll give you 72 songs.
Yeah, exactly.
No shit.
Great.
I want to go back to 2005, Chris.
Oh, Christ.
Around that time, I was in a little unknown grindcore band called Decrypt.
Yeah, sure.
And at the time, our guitar player, Chris Montez.
Yeah, my boy, Chris.
Dude, Chris biting dicks Montez.
Oh my God, that dude, he's the best.
Chris, nobody or nothing can kill me, Montez.
Exactly.
Every other day he's in the
Mr.
hospital.
Invincible.
And he keeps going. He's like a fucking miracle man. I love him.
Right.
Love him.
Dude, for sure.
Love him. Dude. He's a great guy.
He's an adventure and a fucking good time almost every time.
He's an inspiration. He's a fighter, man.
I think he's like G.G. Allen reincarnate, but that's just
maybe. Anyway, personal. Go back.
So I want to go back to that because I remember this happening, right? At the time with Decrypt, we were kind of in a flux. We had lost our original drummer, Brad, and we're going through some different people and whatnot. And I know, so Chris had some time to cut it with you guys because you guys were looking for a guitar player. So he went out to New York. And if I'm not mistaken, you taught him the set, right? On guitar.
I did. No. I had stepped away from the band at the time because I needed to start my business and I couldn't concentrate on the band. So I'm not sure. Maybe I showed Chris a couple of songs, but I think Frank, who's the other guitarist at the time, showed him most of the stuff so they can get ready for the tour or whatever with 6 Feet Under, I believe. Like I said, I had stepped away from the band for a while because I couldn't start my business and run the band at the same time. And I needed to get, hate to say it, but I was getting older and I needed to either
Priorities.
Yeah, get my business up and off the ground so I can get back to music or just
or kiss it goodbye
or work a shitty job the rest of my life and play music. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be able to afford muscle cars, a house, a swimming pool, nice things. And so I had to make decisions. And so I had stepped away from the band at the time for that.
Did you ever get a chance? Because I know he's got some shit on VHS jamming with you guys. I mean, obviously you hooked up and you met Chris. You ever party with Chris?
No, not really. I haven't. I'm not a partier though. So probably, I like to sip my bourbon and I've been like that forever. Always, I was never a big partier. I never smoked pot. I'm just the mellow guy.
Listen to too much Minor Threat, man.
It probably.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all. No. God, fucking, they were great. Anyway, yeah. So no, I never partied with them. Just hung out with them and fucking bullshitted and talked. And every time I see him, I hug him. And he's part of the family. He's part of the IB family.
Right, right. Like, that's so crazy, though.
Like everybody who's ever been in this band, except for like one or two people who I fired in anger.
Yeah, fucking one guy. Fuck him.
Everybody else is family. I mean, most of the splits that people left have always been amicable. Except for a few things. And if you were in this band, you're still part of the family.
Fuck so, yeah, dude. Gotta appreciate.
Chris is part of the family. So.
You heard that, Montez, because I know you're watching and listening right now.
You better be.
Yeah, he is, dude. I fucking posted about this. And I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody who's going to be on this episode until it actually drops. And he knew right away. I mean, I threw a song out there too.
Driven to Conquer album, so like six people would know.
Dude, I'll tell you what. A little quick thing. So I had been familiar with you guys, but I hadn't really gotten into you guys yet until he went on the road with you, and then I got completely immersed in it. And I got what the Alien Breed compilation on CD, and then I'd always known about Driven to Conquer, but I had never owned it. And then by chance, literally, like when he got back from that, probably from his stint with you guys, probably like a few weeks or a month later, I'm at a fucking like a pawn shop. I'm looking through CDs. I find Holy Erotic Rapture, our album in there. I'm like, yeah, of course, Lake County, mother. Yep. Someone bought it and was like, what the fuck did I just do with
these guys?
Let me get $2 for this real quick.
50
got a fucking chore boy to buy or something. But anyways, Driven to Conquer was right there. And I was like, holy fuck, dude, I'm snatching this shit up, dude. And that motherfucker didn't leave my CD player for like 6 months, dude. Like, nice. It's a very iconic album, like to me personally, and I'm sure to a lot of, your fans and stuff. That's
yeah, there's two different groups. So it's funny. There's two different groups of Internal Bleeding fans. There's the Voracious Contempt fans, and then the other delineation is Driven to Conquer. It's like there's a whole swath of people who got into IB when Voracious Contempt came out. Then there's a whole swath of younger people who got into IB when Driven to Conquer came out. So like your age group, like Chris McCarthy, my guitarist, like Driven to Conquer is his favorite album that he ever heard in his life. Like he said, it changed his life when he heard it, And so there's like a interesting, for me, who's been in the band the whole time, it's interesting to see that there's like two groups of, there's the old school groups, then there's the Driven to Conquer group. So it's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, well, you'll get to see even more of it because you guys, and I saw this on your guys' Facebook, which is super fucking cool. You're getting the first 3 records re-released.
Yep.
On vinyl, on red, white, and blue vinyl, dude. Yep. How did that come about, and where can people fucking get that shit?
How did that come about? Well, it came about in a shitty way, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Thank God it worked. Thank God it worked out okay. But so we were trying to buy the masters and the rights back from Pavement Music for a long time. And they kept kind of just pulling our tail. just a bunch of bullshit. We couldn't get anything done with them. And next thing we know, that I get an email from Plastic Head saying we bought the rights to your album. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know?
Oils and ghouls, that's how the music industry works.
Right.
You don't own shit.
Yep.
Right. But thankfully, the dudes at Plastic Head were so fucking cool. And they're like, yeah, we bought it. I'm like, oh, wow, that sucks. He's like, hey, well, you know, you have any ideas for the layout? You want to help? You know, you want to get involved, this and that. Here's your royalty scheme, this and that, and this and that, you know. And the guy, Steve, that I deal with over there is a fucking great guy. Honest as the day is long, you know, did a great job. We put them out on CD first. It's in this box set, right?
Sick.
So they did a great job. They did a great job with this box set. I'm really, really happy with it. You know, comes with a fold out poster and all that stuff. It's really neat. You can see part of the poster there.
Fuck yeah.
And then, you know, we said we're doing the vinyl, you know, 6 months later, it'll come out, you know, it's like there's a delay in vinyl, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I want to do it in red, white, and blue vinyl. I'm like, that's fucking perfect for us, you know? And he showed me all the mechanicals and everything. He's like, please approve the layouts, you know, this and that. And off we go. I think it comes out. You can pre-order now at, let me tell you what it is. Give me a second. I think it's called Back in Black.
I know there was a pre-order. You said Pavement, right?
No, fuck Pavement, not Pavement.
Who? Well, I'm sorry. That's
Back in Black. Topic. Back in Black Records. Plastic Head Distribution.
Plastichead.com. I know people can go there and you'll be able to probably search internal bleeding and find them.
You can find it through there.
I knew. What's the P stand for? Pussy. I don't know. I knew it was a P. Come on.
So we're pretty excited for the vinyl of that. So
yeah, dude.
And fans are excited for it. So me too, because I love vinyl. I just like the big format, you know?
Yeah, it's great. I think if you have a great sound system too, if you're a vinyl guy and you don't have a great sound system, it would behoove you to fucking get one, because I think it's like the best way to experience music. Like you said, to sit there, to hold that fucking, whether it's headphones or just a good sound system, but to hold that big ass thing, to experience it and just soak it all in. And the thing is maybe people didn't realize this like back in the day, but dude, vinyl goes quick, you know, like sometimes even if it's an album I like, if I'm listening to it, like streaming digitally or whatever, or even a CD, sometimes it feels like it takes forever. Dude, vinyl, it's like side A is done. Like that. You have to be involved in it. It like forces you to experience what you're fucking listening to. And I think that's great.
I think so too. I totally agree. You know, and, that's what I grew up on. I grew up on, you know, I'm a kid of the 70s. So I grew up on vinyl.
Well, were these albums pressed on vinyl before back in the day?
No, nope.
Because it was vinyl back then for all you hipsters out there, like in the early 90s beyond, was fucking dead, dude. It was a dead medium.
The only thing that existed like in the early 90s was 7 inches, you know, 7-inch records, but never. Because
everybody had a jukebox, you know?
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. But so it's back now though, man, with a vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
everything.
It.
Everything's coming on vinyl, which is awesome. I think it's great.
I can't believe fucking cassettes are back. So
yeah, no shit.
Like, dude, I love cassettes. I'm like, yeah, I love sticking a pencil in the fucking thing. I love pulling hours of ribbon out of the fucking cassette player. Yeah,
I love putting spitballs in the top so I can re-record over that shit.
I love blowing in my Nintendo cartridges too to get them to work.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Good,
I just love blowing.
Good fucking times. Well, hey.
Yeah, you do.
Take it somewhere else, pal.
Come on, it's 2022.
All right.
2022.
All right, cool. Yeah. I want to be accepted.
There it is.
There you go. Hey, there's something else super fucking cool that you just recently were able to fucking, I don't want to say fall into, but dude, you are an officially licensed Dean guitar player now, brother. How the fuck did that come about? And just give us a whole fucking breakdown.
That's awesome,
thank
man.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That came about with from touring with Deicide. At the time, Chris Canella was playing guitar for them, and him and I really hit it off. We drank a lot together and talked a lot, and he's like, why don't you come on over to the Dean family? You know, I'll hook you up with some guitars.
What were you playing beforehand?
ESP.
For those that don't know,
ESP. I was endorsed by ESP, but it just weren't the right fit for me because the people that I dealt with over there, I felt like they didn't care who I was really, which is understandable. Listen, I'm playing a fucking death metal.
You play death metal.
Right.
Who the fuck are you?
Right. But, you know, Chris Canella is a peer of mine. You know, we get along great, and we have a good relationship. And he hooked me up with guitars that the exact guitars I was looking for, with the pickups that I wanted. You know, and I got them when I needed them, and so off we go. I'm pretty excited. You know, it adds to my growing collection of guitars. When part of it, you can see.
There you go.
How many have you amassed?
I think I've got like 25.
Very nice.
Yeah, I got some. You know, some of these on the back wall are pretty. You know, some of them are pretty historical. Like so, this one. Since you're a Driven to Conquer fan, that was the one that was used to record Driven to Conquer.
Fuck yeah, I'm stiff as a board.
I know that one means special for you, and I played that for a long time live. It's old in the tooth now, you know. It's like a 30-year-old guitar. So,
would you rock a FTA last year?
FTA was using this black ESP there.
That's got the Les Paul body. Has it got the weight that the Les Paul carries?
That one's a lighter one.
Okay.
But my Dean Les Paul, this one here, it's substantial. It's a piece of fucking wood, you know?
There you go.
It's heavy as hell. I'm gonna say it's like 12 pounds, probably, you know?
Ooh,
yeah.
You know,
adds to the tone.
Yeah, this is a beautiful guitar. It's got Fishman.
It is. Wow.
Oh, the Fishman's.
In it, you know, it's all black.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, is that like a matte black on that motherfucker?
It's a matte black it has matte black binding. It has a matte black binder up here, which is really nice.
Yes.
And it's a very well-made instrument. The action's really low. It feels good. The fingerboard, you can't see it on here, but the fingerboard has beautiful grain to it. Like, you know, a lot of times the fingerboard, ebony fingerboards are just really dark. You know, this one you can really see the grain in it. It's really nice. Really nice guitar. You know, I'm enjoying. What gauge
strings are you using?
I use the Dario NYXLs.
Okay.
Nice.
What are they? 1246s, I think, or something like that. No, 1256. Sorry.
You guys are tuning down to what? What do you guys usually tuned in?
Just the D standard.
Okay.
Which everybody's like, really? You only tune the D standard? I'm like, yeah, write a heavy riff. You don't need to fucking tune.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
The riff's heavy enough; it doesn't matter.
Right. And the riff isn't, the riff isn't necessarily just the riff. It's the way the riff before it goes into the next riff.
Exactly.
You know, that makes something sound heavy. And, you know, there's a lot more to heaviness than just down tuning.
Yep.
You know?
Oh yeah. Dude, I've heard a lot.
We don't down tune a lot because we prioritize clarity over mud and just being heavy for the sake of being heavy. It's more of a challenge to try to write something. And I'm not belittling people who down tune. I'm Sabbath tuned the C sharp on Master of Reality, you know?
Yeah, that's what we play in. It's C sharp, but it's the drop, so it's like the drop B.
I'm not belittling that. I'm just saying for us, you know, when you play on the 12th fret, I want it to sound high. I don't want it to sound like it's on the 3rd fret.
Yeah.
You know? I want to hear those dynamics so that when something's going, you know, when you're going at a quicker pace, you know, and you're doing power chords at a quicker pace, you can hear the difference between your chord changes, you know, and sometimes you don't hear that as much when you down tune a lot.
Fuck no.
True.
No.
Hey,
I mean, you do. I'm not saying you don't. I mean, you can always hear the difference in a half step, but when you do, you know, when you move up a minor third or something like that, you really hear it when you don't down tune a lot, you know, and that's kind of what I want That's kind of, I guess, what my ear likes. I mean, that's since the beginning, Internal Bleeding's been like that. The only song that's not that is the song Alien Breed, which we did in C sharp. But other than that, everything's in D. So
that's awesome.
Real quick, I want to ask you.
And we did D because we knew everybody else was doing C sharp, this and that. And we're like, fuck that. We're not going to do that, you know? So
out of everything you guys have recorded and put out, I mean, I'm sure they all hold a fucking special place for you, man. But where, out of your fucking recording history, what was the most fun record for you guys to make? And what is the one that you, because don't give me the common answer, like, because everybody says, oh, they're all my babies. They're all fucking great, you know, whatever.
Well, they're all my babies. But if I was going to pick one that was the most fun was the first album. We had a fucking blast doing the first album. I'm sure, man, especially in that time. And you guys having the expectations for yourselves, but you know what? That first album was all live. You know, we recorded all that. It was all recorded live. And I'll never forget, we were at the studio and they had the owner of the studio, who was the saxophone player for Billy Joel, Richie Canada.
Hell yeah, that dude fucking rules.
He made this. He roasted his own coffee. So the coffee that he made was like through the roof, you know, like what Death Wish coffee is now, you know, but this is in 1995, you know, so we were flying off the walls on coffee, you know,
Ascendant style, dude,
flying off the walls. And we just had a good time, man. We laughed. We weren't we weren't stressed out at all. We were very comfortable.
There's a brotherhood going on there. And you know, like,
so that was definitely the most fun album to make. So, you know, the most difficult album to make was probably Imperium.
I was going to guess that. Yeah.
That was the most difficult album to make because there was a lot of stuff going on that album. But it was still fun. You know, I think every recording was, when we did the Corrupting Influence album, that was a blast. We had a good fucking time doing that. It was a lot of fun. But A Voracious Contempt was the most fun I had recording an album.
What's the most fucked up road story you have?
Oh my God.
That's a lot because people don't get that's like some people ask me about shit and I'm like, man, I don't even know if I could tell certain people, let alone.
I'll give you a couple of fucked up ones. Let's see. There was the one when I don't remember what year it was. I think it was 2017. We were touring Europe and I stepped off the stage, which was literally only this high, and I broke my foot.
Ooh.
And then I had to do 2 weeks in the bowels of Europe. Like, we didn't play in any nice towns or any
14 days in the hole.
So I had to do 2 weeks with a fucking foot that was like this big.
Oh,
it's black and blue. I could barely fucking move.
Got that corpse foot blues, man. Yeah.
I finally went to an emergency room in I think it was in Romania.
Finally, these vamps got to me.
Oh man.
We finally had like 5 minutes to spare, and I had the girl who was working at the show take me to the emergency room in Romania, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna fucking suck." So we go into the emergency room. It looks like a fucking Greyhound bus stop in New York City. You know, it's a fucking dirt hole.
Oh man!
The fucking cops come dragging some dude across the floor in handcuffs.
Like they always do.
I'm like, what the fuck am I getting myself into? So they go to do the x-rays, you know, and the guy's like, wait 1 minute, I have to get the film. I'm like, film? What was this fucking 1968 film? So they attack actual old x-ray machine with film.
Wow.
So they're like, oh yes, Doug, you know, in broken English, Dr. Google will be here in a minute and this and that. Finally get in to see the doctor. He puts the x-rays up on the thing. He looks at me dead in the face. He goes, man, you really fucked up your foot, didn't you? I'm like, what? Perfect English. I'm like, with a Chicago accent.
Chicago accent.
And I said, I expect a Chicago accent. And why the fuck are you in Romania? And he's like, I met some broad, I got married, and here I am as a doctor.
Thread nose vacation surgeries.
I'm like, that's so cool that I met this guy from. He's like, you fucked your foot up bad, dude. He's like, we can't do anything for that. Go. He's like, you should really go home. And I'm like, I got another 2 weeks. He's like, all right, go upstairs and get this. And he writes down the, prescription or whatever.
Mm.
And so I hand in the prescription and they give me this fucking boot that I have to wear and all that stuff. And then I just walked out of the hospital. I didn't pay anything. I didn't fucking do anything.
Wow.
You never paid for any of that shit?
I was like, fuck it, it's Romania. I think I paid $10. I think I paid.
I thought this was legit, brother. Come on.
I think I paid $10 for the boot. They took down all my insurance information, which I'm sure they didn't know what.
Next time I get the flu, I'm going to fucking Romania. I don't care.
Yeah. So that was an experience. When we were on our first album tour, we played the Al Rosavia, which is where Dimebag Darrell got killed.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll never forget, I got out of our set. We got off the set. I got my shit off stage. The place was packed, It was a fucking sweat house. It was great. Great show. Fucking tables flying all over the place. Yes. Beer bottles flying, booze flying, bodies flying. Like, it was like the most
tits.
Insane.
Were there tits?
I can't remember. Probably.
All right.
I you know what? I get in the zone when I'm playing, and literally a girl could take off all her clothes and in front of me, and I'd be like, "What?" and just keep playing.
What?
I better not fuck this up. I just get so in the zone. So anyway, I finally go to the bathroom because I have to pee, and there's a guy in there with this part of his arm is backwards.
Oh.
Blood is everywhere. He's wrapping his arm in fucking toilet paper. He's like, dude, you guys rule. He's like yelling and screaming. And everybody in the bathroom's like horrified because this guy's fucking blood is everywhere. It's just pouring out of his arm. I'm like, dude, fucking call 911. I'm glad you like the show.
That's awesome. Don't forget to buy a shirt on your way out.
It was fucking wild, man.
You should have had some fucking internal bleeding fucking Band-Aids.
He's just wrapping toilet paper. He's wrapping fucking toilet paper around it like it's going to stanch the flow of a fucking shattered arm that's sticking through his skin, But he was broke out of his mind. He probably didn't feel a thing until the day after,
I would have hated to be that guy when he's sobered the fuck up. He's like, pull the Sam Kinison, like, ow, ow, ah!
He's like, where's my arm? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We had to take it off last night. So that was, that was pretty fucked
That's
up.
wild.
Pretty fucking dastardly. Chris, a couple more things as we wind down here.
Right.
Real quick, there's one thing I would like to know. Who is on your radar as far as like who's carrying on in the underground heavy metal community that's doing some shit, albeit slam, fucking technical, whatever, in the death metal genre that you're really fucking stoked on?
Some of like the newer bands that I really like are like Vomit Forth. Not just because they took that name from one of an IB song either. It's just, I fucking love that band. We're actually playing with them next Wednesday. Good friends of ours.
Cool.
Great fucking band. They understand that you need to bring the riffs. I mean, they fucking bring the riffs like nobody's business, which I really love. Party Cannon's another great band.
Yes.
They were just in Chicago here.
Love Party Cannon.
Yeah, I was supposed to go see them on Saturday, but I had a personal engagement, a birthday of a relative that I had to go to, unfortunately. But I love those guys, Chris and all those guys. Great band, I think those are probably my two favorites right now.
All right. Back in the day when you guys were fucking rocking in the early mid 90s and all that shit, who was your go-to band in the death metal community?
Mortal Decay, Dying Fetus, Demonacy.
Oh, yes.
Torture Crypt. I would say those were my favorites. And then some California bands like Deeds of Flesh, Infamy, and stuff like that. Those were. But like I said, like I said earlier when we were talking, like Mortal Decay is still probably one of my favorite bands ever, and Fetus always holds a special thing for me.
They just did it fucking right as hell, didn't they?
Yeah, totally. Great band and great guys. I mean, Jason's awesome. John's awesome. Even though the guys that were in the band before that, like Brian Latta and all those guys.
Sparky, dude. Sparky was a cool dude too.
Sparky's the man, all that stuff. So those were the bands that I really loved playing with back then, because it's not only did I love the music, but all the people were just so fucking cool, and we just, who said it? I think it was Winston Churchill who said youth is wasted on the young, because you don't. Back then, I knew I was having fun, but I didn't realize how much fun it was until I'm here today.
Yeah.
And look back on it and realize how much fucking fun and how much I laughed and just, and not had a care in the world. I was single, this and that. John Gallagher would call me up. He's like, we're having dying fetus practice. Oh, I'm like, you're only 6 hours away. I'm going to come down, hang out. And I'd hop in the car with Bill, and me and Bill would drive down to Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and fucking hang out at Netherton's parents' house. They used to practice in their garage. We'd watch Fetus play. Sometimes I'd jump on guitar. Sometimes Bill would jump on drums, and they'd play. We'd fucking, me and Bill fucking slam around the fucking garage, and then we'd drink,
yeah,
and then Sunday morning, go home, and like I said, you don't realize how much fun that was and how special it is until you have. And hopefully all of us live long, healthy lives to get to the point like where I am, where it's 30 years later, and you can look back and say, wow, I was part of something really special, and I'm grateful for that. And I was in the middle of it, and I enjoyed every minute of it, and I probably didn't savor it enough, you know? So I don't know what I'm trying to say other than, enjoy the time when you're young, enjoy it, man. Just suck it all up. Don't lose sight of the future, because the future might show up one day and you got to be prepared for it. But
the thing is, the future does show up, and it shows up real fucking quick. And by the time it does, you're like, oh, that was 10, 15 years ago.
Sometimes it shows up really hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
That's why I left the band and started my own business, and, because I knew the future was coming, and I mapped out I hate to say it, but I mapped out my life. I knew I'd have my own business running. Then I could get back to music and touring and tell my employees what to do so I can go on the road, And so I think more people need to think like that. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I'm not smarter than anybody else.
Real quick, if you want to pop your business too, because, we're getting ready to cut it fucking. And it's just a marketing agency called CGP Creative. You can see the website at cgpcreative.com and see the work. It's mostly corporate work. I've done a lot of death metal album covers and things like that, but that's not how I make my money. I make my money doing corporate work and things like that. So we got a lot of suits that watch and listen, so you never know.
Exactly.
Well, we'll see. If you need a website or marketing, you come to me.
There you go.
Very nice. Brother, after you take that last swig, that delicious swig of that 12-year aged fine Chateau Earl Bourbon.
Earl Bourbon.
Stupid. All right.
Sounds like the bum who fucking lives behind my house.
That's what I was going for. Hey, don't fucking judge me, Chris Pervelis. Hey, you guys are fucking hitting the road. You're still doing it because you motherfuckers are driven new cocker.
Yes, sir.
Give us some of your upcoming dates and who you're touring with and where people can find you guys and buy merch.
All right. Well, so starting next week, we're doing a little 4-show run, which includes shows in New York, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and one other place. Damn it, Detroit, which is going to be awesome. And then we're on break until June, and then we go out for 2 weeks with Jungle Rod.
Ooh.
Bodie got hard.
I did.
We'll be hitting some of the Midwest, the West Coast. We are going to Indiana with just IB.
Where?
Gary.
Bullshit.
Oh no. Let me
Bullshit. You're in Gary. I live next to Gary, dude.
Hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. Just give me a second here. Let me see if I can find it on my computer.
You pump that out because every motherfucker in
Indianapolis.
Northwest...
Sorry, at the Emerson Theater, June 19th.
Okay, June 19th. I think
Emerson
I can make
Theater.
it.
So you better. So that the Jungle Rot tour is going to be nice, and then I think we're doing 2 weeks in Europe in July.
Ooh.
I'll know Friday if we're going to be doing it. So Europe is still a mess because of COVID and all that shit. So we'll have to see what happens, but we're hoping it's going to happen.
Yeah, Serbia's not a mess.
Serbia, and I'll tell you what, Sredden, I'm glad that you finally decided to join the conversation. You fucking lame duck. Fuck. Serbians love fucking death metal, dude.
I know.
Love it.
Fucking love it. You would know. I'm not, dude. Throughout Decrypt, Moisten, Disciples, Handsome Prick, our goal, we want to play Europe, but none of it has ever fucking happened. You've been over there. You know what the deal is. Sredden broke it down for me low key. He was like, hey, my buddy fucking likes you guys a lot. And I'm like, what? Yeah, these fucking Serbians, they have what's the big fest out there that they do?
I don't know.
Sredden, you know what it is because Phil Anselmo's plays out there.
Exit Festival is the biggest
Exit.
one.
Yeah, Exit Festival, dude. Like
the Serbian movie fest.
People.
Exit Festival takes place inside of in the city called Novi Sad, and it takes place in a fortress. So they set up the different parts of this fortress.
It's perfect for internal bleeding.
With different genres. So they got like a metal area. Cool. They
different
have
fortresses have different genres. That's cool.
Different parts of the fortress. So there's like
awesome.
it's super cool. Yeah,
I'd like to go to Serbia.
Yeah,
so
they have a.
Sredden's your guy. He's your connect. He's got property. He's got
This guy.
One day.
I gotta buy some property in Serbia.
Yeah, they like cigarettes and they have a Zappa bar out there.
They do like cigarettes. They also like Adidas sweatpants too. Like
so we all motherfucker.
I love Adidas.
All day I dream about sex.
I was expecting not to make a joke of the whole Ukraine thing, but I was laughing to myself. So I was expecting to see all these Russian soldiers with Adidas sweatpants on,
red ones.
Red ones.
It's what they got
Adidas sweatpants.
Those are the special forces. You don't see those guys until it's too late.
Hey, they show up and they're like, special forces.
God damn it! That stereotype is so awful, but it's hilarious.
It is.
That's good.
So bad. So bad. Chris, dude, I fucking loved having you on this episode. We're gonna have to do it again because
I appreciate it.
There's so much fucking more that we can cover and talk about. And it's really cool when people that are fans of whoever guest, whatever guest we have on that can get more of an inside, like not just feel, but like it's the vibe of the show, man. We want it to be like, hey, come hang with your homies,
No, I think that's cool is honestly, I'd rather do this than have to answer like, when did you get together?
Yeah. He'd rather do this and talk to Guitar World.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah. He said, yeah. He's like, fucking.
Well, Guitar World's going to say, how did you do this? And I'll be like, I don't know, 3/4 bend, 4/3.
What the fuck is that?
Somewhere down here.
When you bend your mother over the. Never mind.
Pentatonic, my what?
My sphincter.
Oh yeah.
Let everybody know where they can find internal bleeding at, man, and where they can score some fucking merch.
Well, I mean, visit our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/internal bleeding, or Instagram is internal_bleeding. And we have a website, of course, internal-bleeding.com. We have a merch store there if you want to get some merch. If you want to read about our history, it's a very, very it's a pretty large website with a lot of information.
It's laid out really well, though. I was on it today. So
it's almost like I do it for a living, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Funny how that works.
Yeah. Funny how it works. Yeah. So, so it's a great website. I mean, people who want to learn about the band, it's the best place to go because it's got tons of shit on there, obscure stuff and history and, all kinds of neat stuff.
Fuck yeah. And that's where everybody needs to go. And speaking of needing to go, we need to fucking go. You motherfuckers, thank you for joining us again. It's been a pleasure to host such a great fucking guest for episode 15, the first cut of 2022, and there's still more to do. Yeah, I'm going to rock that as much as I can. That's right. Hey, if you're listening right now on any podcasting platform, make sure you rate and review us. It's so fucking simple. Takes no time. Well, maybe a minute or two, but it really helps us out. You know, and if you're watching a
review, even if you
5 fucking star, frog splash your fucking mother if you don't.
There you go. Oh, you guys are gonna have fun. You guys are gonna have a lot of fun with McCarthy on the fucking wrestling podcast.
I can't wait.
That's you know what, and that's a good segue because you know our little trip into the world of internal bleeding doesn't end here, boys and girls. You guys will have to check out one of the upcoming episodes of Juice Pro Wrestling. We got fucking Chris McCarthy on the episode. We're gonna rip shit the fuck up. Motherfuckers can't handle this. They can't handle all the power and the motherfucking fury that the JPDUB provides.
Oh boy.
So hey, if you're watching right now on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. Make a motherfucking comment if you will. It would be fucking awesome if you shared it with your friends because hey, we're some cool dudes you can hang out with when your life sucks. You know, because that's the way love goes. Until next time, this is the Juice. That's Bruiser motherfucking Bodie, Sweating the Savage, and Chris Pervelis of Eternal Bleeding. We'll catch you next time, you motherfucking hoes.
Cheers.
Do you say two? If you like that video, then please hit subscribe and share with all of your friends and continue to support the JPDUB podcast. We're all over the place on all podcasting platforms for your stimulation.